Okay.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Tnashi's Movie Corner. And for today's review, I will be reviewing Furiosa Road, which is a sequel in the Mad Max franchise. Yes, I know it's actually called Mad Max Fury Road, but I mean, let's get real. Anyway, it is directed by George Miller and written by George Miller as well, and stars Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, and Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult, you may know him as Beast. He was also in the movie Warm Bodies. And so this movie, like I said, it is a sequel. There have been 3 movies out before this one. I have seen none of them. So I went into this movie not knowing really what to expect. I'd heard a lot of good things about it, but honestly, it looked really weird. It kind of reminded me of Twisted Metal, and even while I'm watching it, it reminded me quite a bit of Twisted Metal. And don't get me wrong, I liked some Twisted Metal, but I wasn't sure how I'd feel about seeing it. So anyway, this movie, starts off with Max, and he ends up in the situation where this woman named Furiosa runs off with these female brides of this psychotic, tyrannical ruler, or what have you, and some of them at least are pregnant, and so this guy's pursuing after them, and Max kind of gets caught up in the middle of it. And I'll be honest, the plot is not like the highlight of this movie by any means. It's just kind of there, It's called Fury Road, and you do certainly see that because it's pretty much like 90% of this movie is just action. So, there's not much room for story, and there's not really that much room for character development. Furiosa's character is actually the most developed, I feel, in this movie, and it's kind of interesting that it would be that way. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I'm on the side of where I'm glad her character gets a lot of screen time. But she really does feel like she's the main character, not a side character. There are times that purely focus on her, and we have no idea. Like, Max is just off screen somewhere watching. And being that this is a Mad Max film, I would have liked it if he had a little bit more of a presence in the movie. Also, going along with that, I know it's like the 4th movie in this franchise, but it's the first movie that people have seen in a long time for this series. It's been a while, and I just feel like if it was the 4th one in a continuing franchise where they had, say, a movie coming out every 2-3 years or so, something like that, then it makes a little bit more sense. You take the focus off for a movie and then you get back into it. But given the kind of gap that there is with this series, I expected Max to have a bit more to him, and he didn't. I mean, the last Mad Max movie came out in 1985, so that's a long gap. And I'll say this: George Miller does a great job directing. I think he does, and I don't remember how old they said he was. I'm gonna try to look it up here while I'm talking to you guys. But I think visually the movie works. There was a lot of really cool shots in it. I'm gonna go off of the critics a little bit, because critics talk about how much practical effects there are and everything. And I agree there are practical effects in this movie, but there's actually quite a bit of CGI in this movie too. It works really well, and it's used really well. And this isn't a movie where you have to use special effects that often. It's not a movie that really warrants it. So people that kind of go on this notion of, oh wow, practical effects are so amazing and everything, and boo CGI. So I'm sorry, but there's movies where CGI works well, and this is one of them where he does use quite a bit of CGI, and you can tell some of it, but it's used well and it works well. And so, I'm all for practical and I'm all for CGI if they're used in a good manner. And this is a movie where it doesn't really warrant having being overthrown with CGI. So if it had too much CGI in it, it would feel out of place. Whereas some movies, going more or less with Star Wars as an example, some movies kind of lend themselves more to CG. So, that's my opinion on that. But again, the plot's just kind of there. There are all these weird looking people, these crazy people, these kind of covered, these people that are covered. I don't even know what they're covered in. They're covered in stuff that gives them like pale looking skin or what have you. There was a movie that came out. They remind me of a guy from that movie. I think the movie was like Powder or something. I don't know. It's a fairly old movie, but yeah, they remind me of that guy from that movie. And that movie was all about this guy that got like struck by lightning or something. And he looked similar. So it's kind of like that guy if he was on coke. Because that's really the kind of the thing I get from it. But there's a lot of really cool action scenes. This is definitely an action-packed movie, and I think it does the action really well. The story is just kind of thrown in there. Max gets kind of a backseat, whereas, and Max is actually more or less one of the sane ones in the bunch. So I'm not really, he has these little kind of visions at time that are supposed to throw him off. I don't know if they're references to other movies that we've seen, or it's just something else entirely that they don't address at all in this movie. So I kind of wish they had a little bit. Nicholas Hoult as I think it's Nux is how you say it. He's one of these powder guys that kind of turns over. He has a bit of a character arc to him. I was okay with it. It wasn't really that big of a deal. Honestly, I didn't know it was Nicholas Hoult until after I got done and looked at the credits. I had no idea. So I can say that for him. And he's kind of a fun character, but his story felt like it was just kind of pushed in there. So, and there wasn't too many other characters to which you can really take anything away from. This movie was plain and simple. It was just an action movie. And a lot of people really love it. I don't mind it. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good movie. It was enjoyable. I picked it up actually from my work. It was $3 for Blu-ray and DVD, and I was so surprised to see it come in there. So that was really cool. But yeah, going ahead and giving it a rating. Toss and turn. What am I going to give it? I don't even know. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Again, for what it is, for being an action movie, it's a really good action movie. Furiosa definitely steals the show here, even though she's not the main character, and I kind of deduct a few points for not giving us as much actual Mad Max part as I would have liked to see. She does a good job. I think the acting, is pretty good all around, especially with the main part of the cast. So I think visually it looks good, and it was entertaining all the way through. I didn't find myself bored. Yes, the plot's kind of thrown in there. Again, that's a little bit of a negative, but at the same time, it doesn't really have to have too major of a plot. So I think it works really well. And it makes me curious about the other ones. I may have to go check them out at some point. But anyway, so yeah, that's my opinion on it. What do you guys think? Go ahead and comment below and let me know. Hopefully you enjoy this vid. Click that like button, watch my other videos, and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. Anyway, that'll wrap this up. So until next time, peace.